Five, four, three, two, one.
Ready.
Just relax and enjoy the ride.
In crowd, 815. In crowd, 815. In crowd, 815. In crowd, 815. 815.
Our guest this morning, Marshmallows Hope, is an organization that's fairly young, has not been around all that long. So maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. And we are lucky enough to have Laura to come on the show with us today and explain all about what Marshmallows Hope is all about. So Laura, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to rearrange the screen slightly here. Boom, boom, boom. Put you in the feature spot right there. And as we always like to do, Laura, we like to learn about you first. So before we get into your organization, tell us about Laura Kane. Where'd you grow up and go to school? And what was your career aspirations? And how'd you end up here?
Well, so I actually grew up in Florida. I grew up in a little town called Davenport, right in between Orlando and Tampa. Disney World was my first job. And I worked there until I was 21 doing like customer service and character entertainment. So it was a lot of fun. And when I was 28, I moved here to Rockford, Illinois. So the majority of my career was in sales and customer service throughout my lifetime.
Okay. So was there... obviously working at Disney gave you a really cool experience because what they do for customer service is world renowned. That gave you a great launch pad to start a career, didn't it? Yeah,
they have the Disney University that you go to learn how to best treat their guests. So yeah, it was amazing.
I'll put you on the spot just a little bit. Is there a mantra or a slogan or a saying or something that they really ingrained into you that sticks with you today that you still remind yourself every once in a while of, hey, this is the way to do it?
Believe it or not, pointing. That was like the big thing. You know, if you were directing somebody to do something or go somewhere, you were not allowed to point. And so to this day, like when I'm giving directions, I use my hands and I'm always pointing with both fingers.
No one finger pointing.
Right. Yeah. It was rude. You couldn't do it.
I've heard that before. Yeah. If you have the time, guide the person to where they need to go. If you just absolutely don't, use your whole hand and do the whole directing, not pointing thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So you make the move to Northern Illinois and get settled into here. And at some point you start Marshmallows Hope. And obviously we want to know why you call it Marshmallows Hope and what it is that you do. So what kind of led up to the start of Marshmallows Hope?
Well, it was it was the most tragic time in my life. So in 2018, I lost my 14-year-old son to suicide. What at the time when it happened, if you would have asked me, I never knew my child was hurting. He was never diagnosed with depression or anything of the sort. But that journey later on, 2 years after his death, COVID happened and I began to hear about more youth suicides. And I felt compelled that I needed to drive change. And so we'll get into that in more detail. But why I called it Marshmallows, it was Zachary's nickname when he was young, and he actually used to hate it. He used to be, don't call me that. That's such a dumb name. So I can actually hear him laughing at me like, seriously, Mom, you named it Marshmallows? But I just didn't want it to be like the typical Zachary Burkholz Foundation or, I wanted people to I wanted it to be catchy and for people to ask questions, right?
That's a lot of wisdom in there. I believe there's a lot of wisdom in that, especially like your experience working with Disney and stuff. You kind of realize it's that things can easily fall into the mass white noise that is our life. So to stick out, you got to do something a little bit different. So kudos to your choice to do that.
Thank you. And HOPE is actually an acronym for Hold On, Pain Ends. We want to teach people that pain is temporary, or it becomes manageable. And if you just hold on a little bit longer, you'll get through whatever it is that you're going through in that moment.
That, you know what? That's the first I've heard of that. That is, I'm putting that in the chat right now because I want to see that in print in front of my eyes. Hope, hold on, pain ends. Man, that's great. That's encouraging because we need to hear that. We all need to hear that. It's not what's the way to put this? I guess we are not all immune to sad feelings, to hurt feelings, to feelings. we all have a wide range of feelings that we deal with, and sometimes that's a wonderful, great thing, a mountaintop experience, and sometimes it's a valley. And trying to understand the person who doesn't consistently live in the meadows of life, the slowness of, and there are people like that, but most of us aren't. There's lots of ups and downs. So like you say, your son never gave you any indication that he was struggling with stuff. And was there, hindsight being 2020, was there something that you were like, maybe that meant something that I didn't really grasp at the time?
Well, so after his death and throughout the journey of starting Marshmallows, I really wanted to find answers, which as a suicide survivor, I can tell you, you never really get the answers that you're looking for. But what I did find, I went back to school to educate myself on this topic. So I graduated with a master's of social work from Aurora University. And the end game is to become a licensed clinical social worker. But through that journey, I can actually check off all of the warning signs, all of the red flag signs that I missed, that are so easily confused by normal teenage angst. So sadly, we were victims of domestic violence. So trauma is one of the highest contributors to suicide. Unfortunately, the kid's dad was abusive. And I think that carried on, even though I was the mom that left and did everything right. Still from a young age, I think that was a contributing factor. Also in school, kids find things, they can only see things in the now, right? Like what they're going through is so impactful to their lives in the moment, right? And so they don't have the ability to understand that, like we say, that pain is going to subside. And so he was dealing with some things, some accusations in school. And I think that was really, he was just starting high school. So he kind of started his high school career or his high school journey without his best friend. They had a fallout. And so those types of things, I think, are ultimately what were truly affecting him, was that he couldn't see past the, how am I going to survive this? So.
Yeah. And it seems that, again, this is hindsight being 2020. You think that, wow, how important is it to be multiply connected in different areas of life so that you're not so dependent on one thing? Like you say, like a best friend. If you have one best friend and nothing else in the world seems to matter but that one best friend, it's
Right.
hard to get over that falling out because you don't have anything else to kind of focus on. And having multiple things that interest you, that give you some joy in life, it's really important to find those multiple things. So Marshmallows Hope, you start this, what was it been, 5 years now, 4 years?
It's actually 3 years. And it's 3 years, 11 months old. On September 15th, it'll actually be our 4-year anniversary.
Okay. So right there the same week as Kevin's event for SOS, which you work kind of hand in hand with a little bit. Can you tell us about the relationship you have with other organizations and how Marshmallows Hope fits into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I believe that collaboration is the key to prevention. The more that we collaborate with other organizations, the more that we can provide more services and more resources for the families and the people that we serve. And so Kevin Polkey's SOS, Shatter Our Silence specifically, Back during COVID, again, COVID was, extremely difficult for a lot of people, but I feel like that's really what pushed me into my greatest purpose. So during COVID, I wrote a book, and Kevin reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you like to be on my podcast?" And then after that moment, we hit it off, and he invited me to be part of his Shatter Our Silence board. And so what we do through Shatter Our Silence is Kevin actually provides education about the at-risk warning signs for youth and young adults who may be struggling with suicidal thoughts. And so he goes around and he educates people in the community. So I've learned through that education is key to prevention. The more people that we can educate, the more people that we can teach about the warning signs. Again, I was that mom who didn't know, right? And who thought that there were no warning signs. Had I known what to look for, then maybe my journey or my story would be different today. So definitely it's huge. Kevin has been a huge part of Marshmallow's Hope. He's a huge advocate of our org. And he was actually the first person to truly believe in our mission. In our mentorship program, we contracted therapists that were employed by Kevin when we initially started to provide pro bono counseling services. So he is an extremely big part of Marshmallows. His son, Caleb Polkey, actually is one of our therapists here at Marshmallows. Mm. So we just love and appreciate the Polkeys all around.
So you do offer some services, at least, that cost nothing. They're absolutely free.
All of our services are absolutely free. So, when I started Marshmallow's Hope, it started as a mentorship program. I started picking up kids, taking them out to eat, going bowling, doing one-on-one activities with them. But while I was mentoring these kids, I quickly realized that there was there was a kind of a hole in our community that we needed to fill, and that was the wait list for kids to actually get into treatment. Some kids were having to wait 3 months, some kids were having to wait 6 months. And when you have a child who's truly struggling with suicidal ideations, it's detrimental that we get them into services immediately. So Marshmallows has actually partnered with Rosecrans, and what we do is we're just that immediate response hub where kids get referred to us. They come to us within 24 to 48 hours to receive that counseling service. We put them into the Rosecrans wait list, and whether it's, a couple of weeks, 2 months, 6 months, then we refer them to them for that longer level of care. So that we ourselves don't run into that waiting period or waiting list. But we can at least assist in stabilizing the youth and then helping support the parents through that. Furthermore, we're super, super excited. We actually are going to be the very first organization in our entire region to offer an intensive outpatient program. And again, our services are completely pro bono. So if kids are receiving one-on-one counseling each week and we assess them, but they are at a higher level or at a higher risk, normally what was happening in our community is we would actually have to ship them out of our area into different states to get treatment. And again, that's furthering the trauma in families, right? So we came together and thought, okay, what can we do? And we've now been funded by the state of Illinois, as well as Winnebago County Mental Health Board, to be able to open this intensive outpatient program. So we'll offer intensive treatment where kids spend 4 hours a day receiving clinical therapeutic, and evidence-based treatment, so that they can learn those coping skills to, again, walk that path in life that will help them become the productive members of society that we know they can be.
That whole cooperation aspect of what you guys are doing, it's easy for a lot of us to look at stuff like this and think all these organizations are competing with each other, and there's such a spirit of cooperation. And as we were talking yesterday when we were chatting to get ready for today, there's gaps. It doesn't matter what you do. There's always a gap somewhere that you miss it for one reason or another, whether you don't see it or it's just something that you just can't fulfill. And yet you guys are doing your best to make sure that none of these kids, none of these needs slip through the cracks that exist, that are inevitably are going to exist. You're working. I see. I'm just kind of scrolling through your website so people can see what they see when they go to marshmallowshope.org. You got some of your supporters here as the county and Winnebago County Community Health Board. What other kind of support have you received, or are you still looking for that can help you do a better job than what you're doing currently?
Well, so we were actually just awarded also by HFS, which is the Human and Family Services by the state of Illinois, so that our reach will actually extend into counties outside of Winnebago County. So we'll be serving all of the northern Illinois region, because again, nobody in our area is offering these intensive outpatient services. However, because we have such a huge area to cover, and all of our services, again, we don't charge families. We don't care if you have a higher socioeconomic ability to pay or lower. We don't even look at that. We just want to ensure that kids are getting the services. So we need the support of the community. We have a couple of fundraiser events throughout the year. Our biggest fundraiser is coming up. It's at Union in downtown Rockford on October 11th. If you go to the events page, you can actually see that. And so we just ask the community, if you have a business and would like to be a business sponsor, or if you, just attending the show, Miles Nielsen and the Rusted Hearts are actually going to be playing that night. So if you want to just get out and come out for a fun night, all of those things, all of the money that we raise go to serving the kids in our program. The other thing I want to mention too is we're super excited to launch this program. So on September 16th, which actually it'll be exactly 6 years to the day that Zachary died. That day we're honoring his life and his legacy by doing a ribbon cutting ceremony at our new location, which is over by Cherry Valley Mall. And if you go to our events page, again, you can see the grand opening. We're going to have activities for kids, hors d'oeuvres, drinks, and anybody's welcome to come walk around our facility. So we're still trying to raise funds to help us build a gym downstairs in the basement. Because again, when these kids are with us for that 4-hour period throughout the day, we take a holistic approach to healing. So we utilize evidence-based clinical treatment, but we combine it with soulful, like body, mind, soul, exercise, art therapy, and even gardening, to give you guys some examples of the activities that we do with the kids.
Cool ideas. Very cool. So there's the Facebook page there. I think I shared that on the chat already. If I didn't, I will make sure to do that again here. Yep, I got your Facebook page up there.
So Laura, you said something a little while ago that struck me. I think it's very important. You said that he had this one best friend. They had a falling out, and that may have contributed to whatever was going on. There were obviously multiple things probably going on. I think, my own personal opinion, I think it's so very, very important that you don't put all the eggs in one basket, that you have a multitude of friendships and uncles and cousins and teachers and whoever that you can turn to if you're feeling lonely and scared and all of that. And so many of us had those feelings when they were 10, 12, 14. Say, I'm one of them. I grew up with little crossed eyes, and I grew up with, a lot of different things. And I always felt insecure. I always felt like I didn't have anybody. And some very, very good friends came into my life. And of course, God came into my life when I was 16. That all helped. That was incredible. And I think it's so very important that you have those mentors. Is there anything that you work on that you can do to help foster that, like social groups and maybe even church activities or anything like that? Because I think they're very, very important.
Yeah. So, when I went back to school, I learned about protective factors, right? So, what a protective factor is something that can help somebody who may be in that darkness stay alive and survive. So, for example, for a young child, it could be a pet, right? I don't want to leave this earth because who's going to take care of my dog if I do,
Yeah,
right? Or who's going to
right.
take care
Yeah.
of my cat? So that is the protective factor. So when we created the mentorship program, we created it with that in mind. And so what we do is we pair up the kids with a mentor. So the mentor becomes that child's protective factor. If the child is in that darkness, they at least have that mentor or that adult to go to if again they find themselves struggling. So, but other things that we do, we have teen groups so that kids can be with like-minded kids and kind of learn from each other, and lean on each other. We're actually also developing an app where kids will be able to talk to one another, all the time. So, because the reality is kids love technology. So we're in the midst of developing that. But what I suggest to parents, getting your kids involved, as you said, in church activities, sports, building that line of protective factors for your child will help them in the long run stay involved and feel whole. Because the reality is that as human beings, we were not created to be alone. That's why COVID was so detrimental to our youth, because we
Amen.
essentially isolated them and we took them away we took away their protective factors. So if you notice after COVID, we had a spike in youth suicides, but that's exactly what happened, right?
Yeah.
We as parents have to be, just have to put those things in place, for our children to make sure that they feel loved and nurtured. And we also, so one of the other things that we do at Marshmallows is we also educate parents on not only the at-risk warning signs, but how to validate their child's feelings. Sometimes as adults, and I'm guilty of it, we get too busy in our own lives. And it's not that we don't want to hear that our children are struggling or we don't want to see it. It's just that we, essentially we think, hey, you guys are going to be okay, right? But if our child in that moment is truly struggling and feeling like they're not good enough, we need as parents to really sit down and validate that. I see you, I hear you, and I'm sorry that you're going through this. And then teaching them, painting that picture of tomorrow for them, painting the picture of it's not going to stay like this forever. Because again, kids don't have the capability of seeing past the right now.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree. You said it earlier too. You said we just think it's normal teen stuff. Yeah, part of it is. A big part of it is. But it's that small little piece of the pie that's not normal teen stuff. And we have to be able to recognize that. And I think that's so very important.
Yeah.
This might sound a little silly, but one of the things that I've kind of recognized in the last 10 years of owning a dog, I've had to, someone reminded me, I think it was Joanne that was reminding me that, dogs, we've all
Dogs are
heard
people
that
too.
dogs are the dog's life. A 1 year to a human is like 7 years to a dog or something like that, right? That's what we've heard.
Mhm.
So think about what that means to a day. 1 day of a human's life is like 7 days to a dog's life. So when you're gone for a few hours, it's like you've been gone for a couple days,
No, that's an interesting point. I had not ever thought of that. My dog Knox, I can go to McDonald's and I come back a half an hour later. He's just tail wagging and all that.
Uh-huh.
So what is that? That's a day and a half for him.
It's been way longer than you
Interesting.
think, and that's why they're so
Yeah.
stinking excited when you come back. And
Yeah.
I think, and maybe the reason why I'm bringing this up is we kind of got to see sometimes we need to kind of see our children in that light too, that they don't see, yeah, sure, they see us as being old, but they don't see themselves yet as being old.
Right.
How do you get them to see past this day and this week and this month and this year to say, yeah, we're looking at you, your whole life. And I know today hurts really bad, but 5 years from now, this is going to be a blip. This is going to be a small thing that you're going to go, oh, that changed maybe a little bit of the way I think. Maybe it changed a little bit of the way I treat other people. But it didn't end me. And there's more. There's more. So, is there, I know because your organization is so young, you probably have fewer quote unquote success stories than other longer established organizations have, but you've partnered with other organizations too already, which is really encouraging. Is there something that you can kind of start to focus on as far as a success story or a success partnership, something that you're just really, really encouraged by, that your organization is doing the right thing and going in the right direction?
Well, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of success stories. When I first started Marshmallows, obviously I was a one-man operation, right? And we now have 14 employees, which when I sit back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like how did we
How
get
did that
here?
happen?
Yeah, so it's crazy, and we're getting ready to hire 4 more before the end of this year. But no, as far as a success story, when I myself was mentoring, I will never forget one of the first youth that I mentored was the same exact age that my son was, and he was going into high school. And his mom heard of me and was just desperate. Like, my son wants to end his life. I don't know what to do. So I start talking to this kid, and I'm like, hey, like, I took him out to eat, and we were sitting at a restaurant, and I asked him, I was like, why do you want to end your life? And he looked at me and he said, my haircut isn't good enough. My clothes I get made fun of for not having name brand clothes, and my teeth are crooked. So I get called a beaver. And to me as an adult, I was like, wait a minute, like that's not worth dying over, right? But I knew right then and there, I think that was like that pivotal moment for me that like, oh my gosh, like these problems seem minuscule to me as an adult, but to him they were. And so, my solution time was like, let's take him to give him a makeover for his hair. And we actually, one of the things that we do is we support families with dental braces and dental care because it is so expensive. But anyhow, fast forward, he was just going into the 9th grade. And then here we are 4 years later. He's now graduated high school. He's on his way to college. And he still keeps in touch with me, so I know that someday I will be at that kid's wedding and I will be there when he has his first child. And so to me, that's a success, knowing that he was in such a deep, dark state of mind, but here he is living his best life, and so that's wonderful. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? And we get to see those small wins. I always say, even if just one more, then it's all worth it.
I can't speak for Greg, but you're going to make me cry here. My niece suffered the loss of her son to suicide, and we talk about it often, and she still hurts. She really does. So I just want to say, God bless you. God bless you for what you do, because you could have easily cashed in your chips and said, you know what? That's the worst thing that could ever happen, but you're making something good out of it. Not that anything good can come out of it, but maybe something can. If you save a life, 2 lives, 5 lives, 100 lives, whatever, and you get the word out there, and now suddenly the teeth thing, the hair thing, the clothes thing isn't so bad, because you know that you're loved, and you know that you have friendships, and maybe there's puppy therapy. There's so many different things that can be done, but it's got to be caught. It's got to be understood that this might be deeper than what we think, because we look at things from an adult perspective. We got to put ourselves in those shoes and look at it from that 14-year-old perspective, the kid who's hurting and feeling lost and lonely. To us, it's just something, like you said, minuscule. Great word. I mean, it is something so small and insignificant, but to them, it's not. It's their entire world. So God bless you for that. And oh boy, your ministry will be in our prayers. I guarantee you that.
Thank you. And when you talk about God, I didn't know God at all when before my son died. Like, he was more of a genie bottle, right? Like somebody I would go to and say, hey, I need this. I didn't know what it was like to have a relationship with Christ. I won't go into that too much, but what I can say is that this isn't me. It's all been God that has given me the strength and has given me the ability. I'm just the vessel. You know, when he opens a door, I walk through it, and I know that he's leading me in the direction. Because without that, there's no way that any mom can ever survive this. And that's what drives me, is the fact that no mother should their child in this way, because losing a child, no matter how you, it's unnatural, right? Or for us as parents. And so that in itself, it like does something and it disturbs our system. But losing one to suicide, it builds complex, and it's something I can't even describe in words. Like we are forever changed in this journey. And so the other side of Marshmallows is we offer suicide survivor support. So completely pro bono grief counseling to suicide survivors, meaning somebody that's lost a loved one to suicide. We also have suicide survivor support. And I can tell you that within this journey, some of my greatest friends have become moms that have lost a loved one to suicide or child to suicide. And it's because moms grieve at a whole different level. Like it changes us. It changes our just who we are. I will never be the Laura that was around when Zachary was alive. It forever changed me. You know, I miss some parts of me, the giddy part of me, truly, because sometimes it's difficult to feel the joy. Like even in this place, I can recognize that it is a beautiful legacy in his memory, and that each child that we are saving, right, has a piece of Zach in them forever. And it's a beautiful thing, but it's like I cannot bring myself to feel that joy. And it's almost 6 years later, you know, so it definitely changes us and changes who we are. So I'm so sorry that your family has been touched by suicide.
Yeah,
Everybody's family has been, and that's
pretty much. Yeah.
I think everybody has been touched by it. So, in one way or another. So, and I think you probably know my niece. But anyway, I won't mention her name. It doesn't matter.
Having that group of moms that has had that shared experience is so important. I mean, to give each other permission to be giddy again, to give each other permission to continue on living, knowing that, you know what, that's what your child would have wanted, really, when you really, really think about it. Yes, they struggled with something, and yes, they ultimately did something that if they'd only been able to see past that minute, they would have regretted that decision. You know it. So to have the support groups that you guys are facilitating, and to make it available to the community at no charge, it's a huge thing. It's a huge undertaking, and I'm very thankful that you've accepted the call and said, okay, God, you want me to go this direction? I'll go. I don't see past the next step, but I'll take it, and promise that the next one's going to be there. So
Greg, I think you just hit on something. See past that minute, to almost like it's the little roadblock, the little bump in the road that we see as just a bump in the road, but it's to them, it's their world. See past that minute, and wow, that's interesting. That you put it that way.
Hold on to hope. Hold on, pain ends. That's the first time I've heard of that today, and I think that's a. Are there
any T-shirts that say that, Laura? Have you gotten any T-shirts? Hold on,
pain ends. Well, these are our T-shirts currently. You can come if you don't. Yep, if you donate $25 to our org, you get a free shirt. We have the butterfly with the semicolon symbol, which is also the suicide prevention symbol. So like the semicolon, I don't know if you've heard of it, but like when you're writing a sentence and you end the sentence with a period, then the sentence stops, right? But if you end it with a semicolon, then it's just a pause and it continues. So we are the authors of our life. We are writing our story. And if we just semicolon, keep going, then our story keeps going. But
I
yeah,
love
you can
that.
pick these up. So we'll have to get some made with the hold on paint ends, maybe hashtag hold on paint ends in the back of them. That's a good idea. We also
love
will
that.
we'll have some beanies for the winter, sweatshirts. So we do have the Marshmallows Hope swag if you guys want to help support.
Is there a website for that? Is it just your normal website? Then you can scroll down, or what?
No, so they actually are not posted on the website because we don't sell them since we are a nonprofit. We don't sell anything. If you make a donation to us, then we just send you a t-shirt. So you can actually go to our website and then make a $25, minimally $25, and then just write us an info email with your t-shirt size, and then we ship that to you.
All right.
Or you can come to the building and pick it up. Yeah.
All right. So the address of the building is
1628 Temple Lane, and that's in Rockford.
okay. All right. And then the website is marshmallowshope.org.
Marshmallowshope.org. Got that in the chat for everybody there. And I'm sure our friends over at Fresh Prince of Loves Park would be glad to put on the back of your Marshmallows Hope shirts. Hope, hold on, pain ends.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be very
amazing.
cool.
That would be really cool.
Laura, is there anything that we did not ask you about today that you wanted to make sure we touch on? I know we've opened up all different cans of worms. We could have chased bunny trails for hours, but I think you summed up your organization pretty well. Is there anything that you'd like to make sure we add before we move on today?
No, I mean, I just want to add, first of all, I want to thank you guys for the opportunity of having me on. But what I want to add is that if you or a loved one are struggling, to please know that you would be missed, and that in no way would your family be better off without you here. And so please know that we have incredible resources in the community, whether you're an adult or a child. If you reach out to us, we do have amazing partners in our community where we can refer you to. We also have a veteran program that we can refer you to. And so again, it doesn't matter your age. You don't have to suffer in silence. There's help and there's hope, and we're here for you. So
although this organization was started and inspired because of a teenager situation, this is not a teenager organization. This is for everybody.
Yeah, so our services are pro bono to ages 9 to 26.
Okay.
And then for suicide survivor families, there is no age limit. Doesn't matter what age you are. If, for example, we have a 27-year-old or a 30-year-old who's struggling, we have partners in the community that we can fast track them into for either no cost services or very low cost services.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good deal. So marshmallowshope.org. Again, we got the link in the chat. Makes it easy to go right to their webpage and see all the stuff that's going on. Check out their Facebook page and all the events that are going on as well. And I want to I think we've talked Woman's Space on the show before, but we'll get another rundown and lowdown of exactly what Woman's Space is all about from their co-director and director of programs, Nicole Landstreth, and one of their great members, Kate Rehak. Kate and Nicole, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thanks for getting up early and joining us on this Saturday. What's your backdrop there? You got a little, is that real? Is that really a window?
That's very real. I get the best office in the building. It's like a 3-season room. So I have a view of the art studio and the forest and the beautiful gardens right next to me. And this is more of the gardens.
That's
8 acres. Yep.
8 acres.
7 acres. 7 acres. But
7 acres. And well, being that it's you self-described it as a 3 seasons room. Are you like freezing cold right now?
Well, it used to be a 3 seasons room. It is like part of the house now, but it's got windows on 3 of the walls.
You're adequately heated up. You've got furnace assisted climate control.
I keep a space heater under my desk.
For the longest time when Tom and I started doing this as a podcast, my office and my studio was in my basement. Ooh. So in the winter times, the space heater was cranked. And now I'm in the penthouse suite, second floor of our
Yeah.
second floor of our New Milford studios here. I won't open the window because it's right behind me, and that light will just make me into a silhouette for the show.
Mm.
But yeah, we overlook the wonderful land of New Milford, and Ogle County is behind me.
Wow.
Right there. I could almost literally throw a stone and hit Ogle County. So for those who have no clue what Woman Space is, we want to know all about Woman Space of Rockford. So when you meet someone new and you tell them for the first time, what is Woman Space?
So Women's Space is a community center. Our mission statement is connecting, empowering, creating, and transforming our world one woman at a time. And basically, we offer different kinds of programs and community groups and sometimes fun special events for people to gather and connect with each other, connect with themselves. About half of our programs are some kind of art related, and we really utilize the like healing and explorative and connective like powers that come from exploring art and playing around with different art materials and different kinds of reflective projects to help us learn about, connect with ourselves, and also to foster a space where we feel able to connect with one another. And kind of right now there's a lot of division in our world, and one of the things that I love about art is its power to bring people back together.
I think any of us who went to school in America can remember back in those days, either probably in a music class or an art class, where you bonded with someone, you became friends with someone because of similar art styles or similar musical tastes. And that sounds like a little bit like what you do.
Yeah.
So if I could interject here, back in 1974, before any of you were born, I
No.
I first met the founders of Women's Space, who were my English and art teachers at Driscoll High School in Addison, Illinois. So right before they came here to found Women's Space, it was their dream to create a safe place for women to create. But they were my English and art teachers, and more specifically, they were the first directors of my musical. First musical I was in as a 15-year-old. So they've been promoting and empowering women and girls for a very long time.
Mhm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you remember what the musical was?
Oh, sure. We first did Carnival, and then we did Showboat.
Okay. All right. So a bunch of classic music, classic tunes, all kinds of good stuff to sing and dance to. We've already started jumping into Women's Space stuff, and normally we do like to get into our guest stuff first. So before we get too much further into Women's Space, I want to learn a little bit about who you are. So Nicole, please tell us where you grew up and went to school, and maybe a little career arc of what led you to Women's Space. Little resume in a nutshell, if you will.
Yeah, well, I definitely have a long and winding road of career experience, but I grew up in Rockford. I was born in Brooklyn, but we moved here when I was 4, so I don't really remember New York. I grew up in Rockford. I am bred. So I went to public schools here, Rockford Public Schools, and in 4th grade, I got a chance to be a part of the Creative and Performing Arts program, which I was actually the last 4th grade class in that program. After our year, they cut the lower level of the CAPA program, and it just became the middle school and high school. And that was also when they started building the Ellis Arts Academy building. So we did a year at West, that was the last year that they did that with the 4th graders. And I remember Mr. White, he felt like 7 feet tall, and he used to always call us ankle biters because we were the smallest ones in the school.
Charles White.
Leonard White.
Leonard White.
Leonard
That's right.
White.
Charles White. Leonard White. My kids had him, and he was funny.
Great.
He was funny. Leonard White. That's right.
Yeah, there were quite a few Golden Apple teachers in the CAPA program. So then, we did CAPA through middle school, going through the Ellis Arts Academy. We had the beautiful, brand new state of the art theaters and green rooms, and like that was such a incredible experience for a young person interested in the performing arts. And then I moved on to high school and did the Kappa program at Auburn. And so I know nothing about sports because I did dance from 4th grade all the way up through high school.
Which, if anyone who's done both knows, dance is a sport. I mean, it might not be, don't kid yourself.
Oh yeah, the professional dancers are athletes for sure.
Absolutely. So you're an Auburn Knights. Hello, good morning, Knights.
Absolutely.
Anybody else tonight? Are either?
No, both my daughters both went there. They played soccer, then they moved on to Rockford, then college. But no, it's a good school. It's a great school.
Are you also a lifelong, basically Rockfordian, Kate, or did you move here from somewhere
No,
else?
I moved here in 1987. So I was in Addison, Illinois, as I said, and that's where I first met the founders, Elaine and Dorothy. And then went on to Illinois State, and then from there, I started my teaching career. So I'm a Knight because I ended my teaching career at Auburn High School. It is a great school, and it was a great place to work and be with. The kids were amazing. The kids continue to be amazing, and my colleagues were extraordinary. So, so I'm a special ed teacher, and I taught out east for a while, and then moved to Rockford in '87. And I taught at Flint Middle School. I taught at East High School. I taught at RSTA, and then I ended up at Auburn, which was my favorite place to work.
Nice.
One of the things I loved about being at Auburn as a student was the mix of students. Like, it's on the west side. There's the regular track programs. There's the honors track program. There's the academy. There's the Kappa students. There's the sports programs. There was just such a mix of students. And that was, I think it was just one of the things that made my experience in high school really rich.
And I was a special ed teacher there. So besides the special programs of Kappa, and we also had the JROTC program with extraordinary teachers there as well. I learned a lot from them. But we also had the special ed programs there, and the kids were amazing. And all kids could be successful there, especially within the arts. When I remember being especially thrilled that one of my geometry students had her artwork displayed all over the school because she was fantastic. And I remember saying to the teacher at the time, my kid's work is up in the hall. And she said, well, why wouldn't it be? And I said, because it never used to be. Because I was always the only one who put up my kids' works, but the kids could be successful even if they weren't great geometry students, particularly. They could really excel in those programs, and especially the Kappa program.
Yeah, find their niche. And for those who are maybe in Rockford but don't have kids in the Rockford high schools, they've been doing this academy program now for 6, 7, 8 years. That each school has this.
Yeah, it's got to be
track.
It's got to be at least 10 years now because I retired in 2018. So, and it was going strong.
I remember sitting in, they had a bunch of us realtors in at Guilford High School to explain how this had started and launched and what it meant and why they thought it was going to be successful. And obviously they're still doing it. So it does seem to be helping to retain, keep more students in school.
It really helped a lot of kids imagine a future. And that's what I think is the best thing about the academy program, that before that, you would ask a student, so what are you going to do when you're done? Oh, I don't know, maybe go into the NFL. Oh, you play football? No. And so the academy program really does help kids think about the options that they have, and having real people come in, like you as a realtor. I remember the electricians set my math class on fire, and the kids all of a sudden started doing math because you have to do math to be an electrician. And it was just, it opened up a world of possibilities to kids and for kids to imagine a future. Great. I think it's a great program still.
Nice. Good deal. Well, we could talk about schools all day, but we got to talk about women's space a little bit. And I'm going to see if I can't put you here on the main screen and bring up your website. Women's space. Again, you got about 7 acres over there. You're in a residential area, right?
We are tucked in the neighborhood. What is that? Just west of Rock Valley College, across from Mulford. We're off of Springbrook, kind of winding down a few different streets to find this little oasis.
There we go.
That is women's space. We have 2 buildings. Well, that is our main office building, which also has our gallery and our gift shop and our yoga studio. And then we have our New Dimensions art studio, which is our art studio. That's 2 levels as well. The lower level is a clay studio, and the upper level is a multi-purpose art studio, which when Dorothy and Elaine were just starting Women's Space, they dreamed about having an art studio with skylights, and in the 90s, they built it. And so every time I'm in that space, I think about that story and what can be accomplished when a group of dedicated people come together on a mission. And we also have our pavilion, our Angeli Pavilion, which we love to host different programs in, like during the warm weather months. We one of the ones that I love is Gongtopia, that happens 3 times a year. And we have this wonderful guy who comes in from Janesville who's amassed a collection of gongs and different kinds of percussive instruments from around the world for the last 20 years. And I mean, it takes him about an hour to set up. That's how big the setup is. And it's basically just like a sound bath meditation. It's not really guided with words. It's really just immersing yourself in the sound. And since we do it outside on a pavilion, his sounds mesh so beautifully with the sounds that are happening just in the natural environment around the pavilion. And this past September when we did it, it was just lightly drizzling, and I kept thinking, I cannot tell if the sounds that I'm hearing are from what he's creating or what the nature is creating. And it was just, that synergy was just absolutely beautiful.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
And then we also have our meditation garden and our pine forest and our labyrinth and our prairie. And all of that outdoor space is taken care of by a dedicated crew of volunteers who have been doing it for decades. And it's a pretty incredible place.
I've got your about page up here on the screen. Dorothy and Elaine, members of the school Sisters of St. Francis, co-founded Women's Space in 1975, and in 77 became a not-for-profit. And you can see all the information there. We've got the link in the chat here, so you can click right to it and go right to the Women's Space webpage and get all the information about what Women's Space is all about. And I wanted to see, let's see if this Facebook link works for you. There we go. There's your big 50.
It's our 50th year. Yeah. So 1975 we were founded, and now it's 2025. It's our big golden anniversary, celebrating 50 years. And so I love what our graphics people did with that image, with the original founding crew, and then our 50 logo, and then our current crew staff, just seeing the then and now, and I love it.
So the big event is right around the corner. It's a week from Sunday?
Yeah, so actually for the 50th anniversary, we have a ton of big events. We have, I think, 8 or 10 big events throughout the year, almost one every month. The first one coming up is actually our open house, where earlier this month we went to City Hall and had a proclamation from the mayor about this being our 50th anniversary and everyone should celebrate. And so on the 26th here at Women's Space, he's going to be here again to share that proclamation and also to share about his own experience with Women's Space. His mom, Barbara McNamara, was also integral in the founding group of Women's Space. So
and she's remained a member this
whole time. Yeah.
And she's an amazing artist herself. And what I love about her story is she always has been an artist or a performer at heart.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know the mayor's mom, she had a bunch of kids. And so she always had that spirit and that drive, and was always involved in the community. But once her kids were grown, she began to really, as I understand it, to take classes here in painting.
Yeah.
And she's an extraordinary painter.
Yes,
So,
she is.
I love that about her, because she, and I will say, like me, later in life, after doing a whole lot of, for her, doing a whole lot of service, she kind of came back to the center here and utilizes and supports Women's Space.
Yeah, she's actually part of a group of 5 or 6 artists that show regularly every year in our gallery. A group of friends, they rent out our gallery and they take one of our gallery slots every year. So she does beautiful birds.
Yeah.
Well,
But
your
yeah.
event here looks like it says the open house is Sunday, January 26th, starting at 2.
Yep.
A program begins at 3, probably wrapped up around 5 o'clock.
Yep.
Former Mayor McNamara planning to speak, and some key Women's Space members and staff, some refreshments, hors d'oeuvres and such.
Yep.
And I imagine a whole lot of art and stuff will be displayed and stuff as well.
Yeah, currently we have a show in our gallery. It's a solo show by Laura Gomel, who's the director of 317 Art Collaborative. She was the recipient of the Adult Artist Recognition Award for the Deborah Newton, from the Deborah Newton Endowment, which allowed her to create a one-woman show. And it's a really beautiful show. It's called Kami Wanita, which means we are women. And it's portraits of women from Indonesia, because when she found out that she had received this award, she was on a trip in Indonesia. We called her and she's like, "Oh, I'm on vacation." And so, we told her part of this award is she gets to have a solo show in our gallery. And while she was traveling, she's, ruminating on, okay, what do I want this show to be? And, when you're on vacation, you're taking pictures of lots of stuff. And she found herself, taking lots of pictures of just women doing their things, being in their life. They were visiting a small village where her husband is from. And so a lot of the pictures she was taking were people from his family and just people from the small village and like at the marketplace. And she was really struck by just the commonalities that we share. And, you can be literally across the world and there's still that commonality that women share about just, and people generally just, we have to take care of our families. We have to feed ourselves and our families. And so she created, if you're familiar with Laura Gomel's work, she is so talented. And the way that she captured the essence of these different people in her portraits is just absolutely beautiful. So that show is going to be up during our open house and through the end of February.
Awesome. Good
Yeah.
deal. Well, music, art, food, all that stuff brings us together, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
For sure. So here's a chance to take a look at some great art and celebrate 50 years of Women's Space. Sunday, January 26th, out there on their Maria Linden campus there, 3333 Maria Linden Drive in Rockford. And I imagine that the people who've never been there before, when they drive up into this place, are going to be like, "Am I in the right spot?"
Yeah,
And you just turn that corner and you're like, "Oh, this is it." Because you don't expect it there. You just don't expect it there. And there it is. So
yeah.
well, we want to bring on our other guest here in just a second. So before we transition to our other guest and do some Tom trivia, is there anything we did not ask you about this morning that you wanted to make sure we talked about before we move on?
Yeah, I just want to emphasize again that this is our 50th year anniversary and we have a bunch of events throughout the year. So if you are interested in volunteering or just being a part of how does an event come together like that, or you just want to come out and get to know Women's Space, please come down to our campus or give us a call, shoot me an email. All of that information is on our website. And we're happy to bring people in to get involved. We have lots and lots of things going on this year, so there's lots of different ways that people can support.
Awesome. Good deal. Check out womenspace.org, and we've got that link again.
Womenspace-rockford.org.
There you go. Yep, the link's in the chat there. Womenspace.rockford.org. And sign up for the newsletters and stuff so you know what's going on and keep up to date. Obviously, the Facebook page also keeps.
There's the list of classes are there too, and it's a great variety of classes. All look through the options.
Yeah, we span quite a spectrum. I was saying earlier that about half of our classes are like arts related, and the other half can vary from, we have a class about learning about composting this year, about different ways to be sustainable in your fashion choices, money management, and how, like, what your relationship with money is. And there's so many, plus yoga and meditation, so many different kinds of programs.
You ladies are one more reason why when somebody says there's nothing to do in Rockford, they're just full of it. They just don't know it. They just don't get out. You just got to get out of your own house, open your front door and walk out once in a while, and or check out Rockford on your Facebook search 815 in Rockford, and you'll find plenty of things to do. So
Absolutely.
I'm very glad we are doing what you're doing, and glad to support what it is that you are up to. So let's bring on Danielle and let's do a little bit of this. Time for a little bit of Tom's trivia. Good morning, Danielle.
Good morning. It's my
Morning,
favorite.
Danielle.
We're going to see if we can score. Usually Tom has 5 or 6 questions for us, and if we can do 3 or more, I feel pretty good about ourselves. So let's see if we can score 3 points against Tom's trivia today.
Well, the trend has been 6 questions and 1 bonus question, because now you're up against somebody who a few teams now have had 6 right, 1 wrong. Nobody's had a perfect 7. So
nobody's had a perfect set yet. No.
Here we go. By the way, Danielle, I don't have my trophy handy that your mom made for me. I don't remember what I did with it. I think it's out in the other room. I'm sorry.
Somewhere.
I'm sorry, but I'll bring it on our NAMI night. Okay, here we go. You guys ready? All right. First question is music. An orchestra typically uses which note to tune up before a performance or a practice?
How do we buzz in?
You don't buzz in.
We're working together, Kate.
Yeah, you're working together. You're all a team. Whoever can answer it. Is it A or C?
It's A.
Everybody agree with that?
Na, 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 A.
You seem confident. Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah, absolutely. Very confident. The way it was explained to me is the violins in an orchestra are what set the tone. But in a band, like a rock band or something, you're going to use C. So anyway, A is correct. Very good.
I don't know why they don't use a kazoo for that. This is perfectly in tune all the time.
All right, here we go. Question number 2, animals. A female donkey is typically referred to by which name?
Female donkey typically referred.
What is a female donkey called? You know,
There's no multiple choice on this one.
Yeah.
There could be.
The first word that popped into my head was Bray for some reason, and I don't know why.
Okay, I'll give you the multiple choice because originally it did have one. It's either a Debbie or a Jenny.
I think it's a Jenny.
Oh, geez. I was thinking it was a Debbie. She was thinking it's a Jenny.
I think it's a Jenny.
Yeah.
It is Jenny. It is a Jenny.
All right.
All right. Question number 3, moving right along. Here we go. All right. So this week in 1919, there was a tragedy in Boston. It was a flood. 2 million gallons of this flooded Boston. A storage tank burst, drowning 21 and injuring 150. It was known as the Great Blank Flood.
Wow.
I am nearly certain I know what this one is.
You're on my team, Greg.
I'm pretty sure I know what this one is. I'm just curious to see if any of you ever recall hearing this story.
In 1919, 2 million gallons of what flooded Boston? A storage tank burst, drowning 21 and injuring 150. It was known as.
It's a very sticky substance.
Is it syrup?
Syrup. I'm almost positive it's syrup.
Is that your final answer?
Let's do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sure.
It is very close. It's molasses.
Oh, wow. That's
Now
a lot
listen,
of molasses.
Wow.
I don't want to sound insensitive,
rough.
but they couldn't outrun that or what? I mean, come on now.
The
in
saying
the
is,
wintertime you could.
My,
You cannot
Yeah.
run it in the winter, but in the summertime it runs fast. So you got the.
I suppose.
All right.
All right, 2
I
million.
knew it was a
gallons.
sticky substance. Darn it.
Wow, it really messed
It
the
was
place
very
up for a
close.
while. Yeah. All right, here we go. What is the name of this online marketplace? This is obviously advertising and marketing. What is the name of this online marketplace company? Their name is derived from the Italian word for the phrase "oh yeah."
Etsy. And yes, Etsy.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Let's see.
Is
No
it?
need to go any further. I don't want
Cool.
anybody to screw it up.
Thanks.
Yes.
Way to
Very
go,
good.
team.
Woo!
Very good. Very good. All right. All right. We got what do we have left here?
Couple more here.
We got one more, and then we've got what would essentially be the tiebreaker. It's the bonus question. All right. What is the spiciest sauce at Taco Bell?
Hot sauce. I don't know.
Is there anything with ghost pepper in it? I don't know.
Flame
No.
something. Flame something. I don't.
Oh,
I'm not a
It's
spicy.
another name. It's another name for the devil.
It's Diablo.
Diablo.
Diablo. Look at that. All right. See, here's the funny thing about trivia. You all have it in your heads. We all do. And then all of a sudden, boom, it hits because. All right. You missed. What did you guys miss? One or two?
Molasses.
You missed the molasses one. And was that the only one?
I believe so.
Well, you missed. Okay, so you can tie the best record here, the best
All
score.
right.
Now, here it is. You're gonna have to figure out the year for this one.
Oh no.
The year for this one. Oh, wait a minute. How many did we? We only did 5.
This number 6
1,
right now.
2, 3, 4. Yeah, we only did 5. Here we go.
All right.
Number 6. In what year did the Concorde make its first transatlantic crossing? I am going to give you some multiple guess options. Was it
Okay.
1972, 1973, or 1974? I know. That was like,
I was very confident to say it was in the 70s.
yeah, well, you would have been right.
But not there.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that was number 6.
Okay.
I don't even have a guess.
Really declare it to you. I have no idea.
Should we go with 72?
Is it 72, 73, or 74? I'm going to eliminate one of them. I'm going to eliminate 1972. Now you've only got 2 left. 73, 74.
I want to say 74, but I have no idea.
Let's do it.
We'll give them a
74. Come on, 74.
1973.
Oh,
All right. One final question. This is normally it's going to be a Packer question or a Rockford trivia question. Today it's Rockford trivia. Kate, you mentioned you taught at Jefferson,
No,
Auburn, Flynn. You said Flynn.
It's Flynn.
Flynn. Okay, that's what sparked me. Okay, what year
Uh-oh.
did Jefferson become Flynn and the new Jefferson open in it was in
19 something.
on Samuelson is what I was going to say. I almost gave that one away. What year are we looking for?
What year did Jefferson open on Samuelson?
Yep.
Yes, so
And I can give you want options?
yeah, I came in 87 and it was before that.
Yeah, it was late 70s or early 80s. I don't know.
It was late 70s. Was it 77, 78, or 79?
I blew it the last time. I'm deferring to you.
Jefferson High School, the big new Jefferson High School debuted in Rockford. in
We used to call it the
1970.
prison because there's no windows there.
Yeah.
And somebody actually, and this wasn't funny, this was aggravating. Somebody actually took a marker and wrote, not a marker, spray paint, Jefferson State Pen. We came to school one morning and they had crews out there trying to clean it off.
Not the best, Frank.
I did apologize for it, so no. Wasn't me. All right, 27, 78, or 79?
Let's go 78.
Come on, 78. Roll the dice.
Yes,
on
78 it was. 78.
Yes.
5 and 2. 5 and 2. All right.
All right.
So
All right.
it's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Well, the Woman Space event again is a week from tomorrow. It's January 26th, a Sunday afternoon. Check out their place there on Maria Linden, and I believe you'll have a good time, and you'll get to see some great art and meet some wonderful, wonderful people. Hopefully the weather is next Sunday like it was yesterday here in
We're gonna have
Rockford.
great weather.
Oh, 51 degrees, I believe, is what we hit yesterday.
I got out of my car in Loves Park at one point. It was 54.
Oh, 54. Good.
I was shocked by that, but yeah, it could be a cold event, but I'm sure it'll be wonderfully warm inside. So
Yeah, it'll be toasty inside.
all the best to you in your event, and we look forward to having you back on again in the future. Okay.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Congrats on
Nicole.
50 years.
All right, as we shift things over to Nami, I accidentally clicked off Tom's thing as well. Don't worry, Tom. I'm bringing you back. Nami of Northern Illinois, part of a nationwide organization that Danielle's going to tell us about today. I think I'm getting this right. For those completely uninitiated in what NAMI's all about, Nicole, what do you tell people about NAMI?
Well, speaking of the late 70s and Jefferson, that's when our national group was formed in Madison, Wisconsin. Two moms, they both had adult children living with schizophrenia, and there were a few options for them, resources, supports, and they really bound together with families they kept running into that were going through similar situations. And that's how NAMI was formed. And very similarly here, 1984, we celebrated our 40th last year. A bunch of families with adult loved ones living with serious mental illness found one another and really became that support system for one another. And it has definitely blossomed into a lot of peer work and family work. So it's been fun to see it grow over the last 8.5 years I've been around.
And what led you to be involved with NAMI? What was your little career arc, I guess you could say, that led you to become the director there at NAMI Northern Illinois?
Well, I think just mental health has always been important to me throughout school. That's what I chose to study. Really, my work history. My parents own their own business, so I really worked there growing up, right? And then throughout school, I worked with children in a lot of different facets, and I think throughout my whole life have seen the tolls like mental illness and not taking care of your mental health can play into family, friends, myself. So I think it's really been just a personal experience for me that led me here.
Okay, so Danielle, 1 second. I did have it. Greg, if you can make this bigger. This is what your mom made for me.
Yes, my parents own a
Yes.
trophy shop and gift shop and
Well,
engraving shop.
you can't read it, but anyway, I won my fantasy football championship, and since there's nobody patting myself on the back except me, I decided to go have a trophy made. And your mom was wonderful and gracious, and she made me this trophy. It says Yahoo Public League 2024 champion, Pac-Man 35, and then the score that I kicked his butt by. So anyway, I did have it up there. I just didn't see where I'd put it. But anyway,
the story's totally worthy because they totally dissed him on his draft.
That's what happened. They
gave
me a D, and says if Pac-Man 35 even wins a few games, we'll be surprised. They're a bunch of snot-nosed college graduates that write for Yahoo. They're just newbies. And they're just being funny and facetious and whatever. And then when I won it, they're like, Pac-Man 35, show them all how it's done. And so I've got both of those things side by side, which is going to go into, as soon as I have enough time, my big board right here.
There we go.
There we go. I'm still trying to figure out the mirror thing. But anyway, and then I'm going to have my trophy placed right there. So anyway, okay, I am so sorry. Back to what we were talking about. But I did want to show you that because I told you about it. So
thank you.
All right. Let's see if I can
Specialty engraving. I know we're not trying to do commercials here, but that's what it is. If you're looking for something, specialty engraving, and they're very good.
Very nice. Very
All
nice.
righty.
Now, as far as NAMI goes, talk about a calendar of events. You're always doing a lot of things as far as groups and helping people. So there's fun events, fundraiser events that we also want to touch on today as well. But your calendar of events, I could probably click on the calendar thing here and just show off what how active your organization is.
For sure. So throughout the week, like every week, we have 3 different days of support groups that are for adults living with any mental health condition. We have 4 different family support groups throughout the month for adults with mental illness. And then we have one for parents and caregivers of children. We have a couple different groups for teens throughout the month. Twice a year at least, we have some family education courses that run for about 8 weeks, both in English and in Spanish, talking about, best communication skills, advocating for your loved one, how to seek help, how to care for yourself and your whole family, because we know mental illness takes a toll on everyone. Then throughout the month, we also do different educational events for the community, because I think we want to erase that stigma, create different tools for people to use when they're experiencing someone else's mental health challenges or their own.
So it's there's groups for every facet. It's not just the ones who feel the need to help themselves, but to help their loved ones.
True. And we just started for the first time in like 20 years, a peer-to-peer class. So it's peers teaching one another about what mental illness does to the brain and like how to create those healthy coping skills and like toolboxes for themselves when they're feeling their symptoms onset, which is cool.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, the website here is up and I got the link in the chat, so it's easy to find. NAMInorthernillinois.org. Read all about the mission and core values and goals, and that calendar is right up there as well. If you have someone in crisis, they've got the 988 number. You can text directly to NAMI. All that information is right there on the website. And you look for donations. When people say, "Hey, I'm thinking about donating to NAMI," how do you describe what it is that their funds actually go toward and helping people?
So all of what we do is free of charge. We actually, over the last 2 years, have grown from a staff of 1 to a staff of 4 and looking for a 5th human here soon, which is really exciting. And we're moving into our own space for the first time. I don't know if I can say that out loud yet, but we are. And
that close. Yeah. The goal is there. It's right there.
Yes. So it will help us, continue to offer those services for free, have our own space, like where people can, a safe space for people to drop by and kind of get the support that they need.
Okay. I'm just going to try your Facebook link too today and see if that goes right to your page. Look at that. There we go. NAMI Northern Illinois.
Makes me nervous.
National Alliance on Mental Illness. We're all about keeping you up to date here technologically. Yeah. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. We've got a little Chase the Way the Winter Blues trivia coming up. And that's the next thing I want to ask you about is a trivia night coming up. 3 nights. Look at that.
Yeah, so we're doing a little series. Last year we tried our hand at our first trivia night. Thank you, Tom. I think it went really, really well. We had a crowded house, so we're actually cutting back a little bit on team numbers, just to make it more functional inside the space.
Yeah,
and then we're gonna do.
It was a lot of teams.
Yes, which I'm very thankful for, and it was fun. But just for space, I thought maybe a few less would be. All right.
I know our in-crowd group had a few of those teams. We had a blast. We had so much fun.
Good.
I hopefully some of our members will decide to do that too. I do see that you chose to use the last 3 Thursdays, the last Thursday of the month, and that's when our group meets. So some of our group won't be able to come because they're hosting events that night already. But for those who want to participate in this is still a great thing to do. And you're back at Park Lanes again.
Yes, we are.
Park
They
Lanes.
did a phenomenal job. The food there is good. They'll have a limited menu, which is good. If you think of it this way, you're not going to inundate the cooking staff with a bunch of weird orders and this and that. They'll be able to just fire it all out and everybody will get fed quickly. So the limited menu is always a good thing. And you don't have to worry about choices. Do I go with this or do I go with that? I don't know. Come back to me in 5 minutes,
Yeah, efficiency matters when you got a big group like that.
Absolutely.
$120 per team, capacity 12 teams, and 6 people max per team. Doors opening at 5. Trivia starts at 6, probably done right about 8 o'clock. And January 30th, February 27th, and March 27th out at Park Lanes in Loves Park. They've got a great stage set up there, got the great tables, and like Tom said, good food choices there. So you're going to have a good time and win some prizes. I know the last year when you did this, you also did some silent auction type stuff. Are you planning to do stuff like that again for this one, or going to?
We're not going to do the raffle baskets this time, but we're going to have a bunch of different door prizes so people don't have to spend any more money than just their team.
There you go. Streamline. My motto, Danielle, for this year, is 3 simple words: do less better.
I like that.
That's for years in sales, I've always focused on 3 words. Action cures fear is my biggest thing for anybody who ever wants to try something new and they're a little bit of a little timid about maybe trying something new. Just remember these 3 words: action cures fear. If you're afraid about, just try it. Take that first step. That's the hardest one, the first step. And once you do that, you're usually on the move and know if you want to go forward. But this year's more focuses on doing less better. And it's all about being able to breathe. We especially in this social media age that we live in, we feel like we're on all the time and trying to find ways to shut up. I'm segueing this back into mental health, Danielle. See what I'm doing with this?
I see that. Professional.
Because we put so much stress on ourselves because we look at other people's lives and we think everyone's doing so much stuff that's cooler than us. And it's all highlights. We're living in other people's highlight reels, and we just need to start realizing, you know what? If you do that one good thing a day, you won.
Right. We can't compare ourselves to others. It's a very dangerous game.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. So here's some things you can put on your calendar, and we do need to sign up for, because these events will probably sell out, where you can say, hey, on January 30th or February 27th or March 27th, at least one of those great things that happens that day is I'm going to be a part of this trivia event where, win or lose, I've helped raise some money for NAMI Northern Illinois. And are you hosting all 3 of these, Tom?
I certainly am.
You certainly are. All right. So
our favorite trivia guy.
Our trivia master, Tom Warner, ready to take you there.
To be fair, Danielle, the only trivia guy probably, but anyway.
No.
You might, and I throw this out there because I think watching this show should bring a benefit to everyone. You might hear a very similar or same trivia question on this show that he might use that night. Maybe. I'm not saying he will. I'm saying it could happen on purpose or by mistake. You just don't know.
Are you going to do that, Tom?
Now the challenge is out there. I'd probably, as a benefit, as a benefit to those who watched, that's a good idea. All right. I'll have to make a note to self on that.
Even if it's just 1 or 2 questions, it might get the leg up that you need to score enough points to win this whole thing. So just throwing that out there for you.
Good idea.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Hopefully one from today.
There you go. Go. Well, these are always fun events, and I'm glad you're doing 3 of them this year. And like I said, I encourage everybody to go out and get this signed up now. There's an Eventbrite link that I'm going to put this. Where's the copy thing? Copy link and put this in the chat so people can go directly to this event page on Facebook. Okay, good. It's not too long of a link. It'll be in the chat, easy to click. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, these chat comments pop up for us. So our YouTube channel has this, and our Facebook business page has these comments and links. We're on all these different platforms, but Restream currently doesn't put all that stuff on Instagram or X or LinkedIn. So in case you're not seeing them right now, you're probably on LinkedIn or on X and going, where is it? Well, it's over on the YouTube or the Facebook side. And I think these pop up as well if you watch later on Spotify. But anyway, all this stuff is in the notes on the chat as well. So check that out later on there. So anything else we want to touch on as far as NAMI goes for maybe your calendar year? Is there something later on in the summer or fall that you want to touch on, or anything else that we didn't ask you about you want to make sure we bring up today?
Just alluding to the trivia series name, I think the wintertime, a lot of people tend to isolate. And I think the idea behind the trivia nights also, aside from raising funds to serve 4 counties, we actually want you to come out and connect with us. I think that connection is so important. And just remember that you're not alone in things that you're going through. And we always have people willing to talk and kind of help you navigate this mental health system here. And as for events down the road, I guess you could be looking out for our Building Bridges event in partnership with the Winnebago County Mental Health Board. We typically do a large celebrity speaker in regards to mental health for free for the public. And then our annual golf outing is in June. So
yeah,
those are my plugs.
Sign Greg and I up for that one already.
And you can find all this stuff again on their website, NAMINorthernIllinois.org. And then the link to their Facebook page and everything is all on there as well. So be sure and bookmark that, check that back often, and refer people to NAMI. If you think someone is in need of, chasing away the winter blues a little bit and maybe the winter blues of your friend is more than just winter blues, and they really do need some help beyond what a good friend can do.
Well, once they know that there's an advocate out there, once they know that there's somewhere they can go, and they may be too embarrassed to tell you what they're struggling with, but somebody who's kind of anonymous, something like NAMI, where they clearly have the expertise to deal with mental health issues, they may feel a little freer to open up. But I can't tell you how many stories I know. I had my own personal story with my brother. I shared it at the first NAMI event of how he needed mental health help most of his life, and it really did make an impact on straightening him out and getting him put on the right path. But this is why it's so important, and don't take it for granted. Don't just think, it's just another organization. No, it's not. No, it's not. Every organization has a niche. This niche right here is one that helps you get back on your feet, get grounded, so that you don't do something crazy, because that's what happens. A lot of people are desperate, and they need just that little seed planted. And so I highly encourage you to, at the very least, check out NAMI, at the very least. Or go to the event and have fun playing some trivia, but one way or another, get involved. So, because we all have somebody in our lives that could use a little mental health wellness.
Yeah. And that first step's the hardest. Action cures fear.
Yeah.
Take that first step. You'll be glad you did.
Yeah.
Glad you did.
Thank you both for doing this.
Absolutely.
All right, Danielle, if we don't talk again, I will see you on January 30th, I think is what it is. But I'll text you a time or two. We'll figure it out. We got no issues with any of that. So looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Have some great events, and we'll keep in touch.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, Danny.